My wife's toxic friends convinced her to disappear for a week to teach me a lesson about not helping enough around the house. But when I came home to find her gone with no explanation and thought something terrible had happened, I called the police and filed a missing person report, only to discover she was hiding at her sister's house laughing about my panic with her friends who filmed my breakdown for social media. He found me. Emma came to the door looking sheepish but not nearly as apologetic as someone should look after putting their spouse through 4 days of hell. Behind her, I could see Melissa and Ashley sitting on the couch, looking like they'd been caught doing something they shouldn't. Can we talk? Emma asked. 4 days, I said. 4 days I thought you were dead. I filed a police report. I called hospitals. Your parents are worried sick. Maya has been crying for 2 days straight. What the hell is wrong with you? That's when Emma dropped the bomb. She said her friends had convinced her that the only way to make me understand how much I needed her was to disappear for a while. The plan was to let me stew for a week while she stayed at different friends' houses, then come back and have a conversation about household responsibilities from a position of strength. I stared at her in disbelief. You thought the best way to handle our argument about chores was to make me think you were missing or dead? Melissa chimed in from the couch, saying something about how men never listen until there are consequences. Ashley nodded along, saying this was a classic power move that had worked for her in past relationships. That's when Brooke made a comment that made my blood run cold. She said, "At least we got some good content out of it." She held up her phone and said they'd been taking pictures and videos of my meltdown to share with their other friends. She actually showed me a video she'd taken of me at their front door, looking panicked and desperate, with the caption "When he finally realizes what he lost." I looked at Emma, waiting for her to be as horrified as I was. Instead, she looked embarrassed but not angry at her friends. She mumbled something about how they'd gotten carried away, but she didn't demand they delete the videos. She didn't defend me at all. Maya, who had been silent this whole time, finally spoke up. Emma, what is wrong with you? Jake has been falling apart for 4 days. Mom and Dad have been worried sick. I've been worried sick. And you've been here making fun of him with your friends? Emma finally seemed to realize how serious this was. She said she hadn't meant for it to go this far, that it was only supposed to be a day or two, but then her friends convinced her to stick with the plan for the full week. I told Emma to pack her things because we were leaving. On the drive home, she tried to apologize and explain, but I was too angry to engage. I kept thinking about the video of me begging to know where my wife was, and how her friends had found my panic entertaining. When we got home, I told Emma I needed time to think. I slept in the guest room that night, and when I woke up, I'd made a decision. Update 1. It's been 2 weeks since the incident, and I wanted to update everyone on what's happened since. First, thank you to everyone who reached out with support. Reading the comments helped me realize that what Emma and her friends did wasn't just a harmless prank like Emma initially tried to claim. The morning after Emma came home, I sat her down for a serious conversation. I told her that what she'd done was emotional abuse, and that I was considering ending our marriage. She broke down crying and said she realized she'd made a terrible mistake. She claimed her friends had convinced her it would be empowering and that I'd come running back more appreciative of her. I told her that regardless of her intentions, she'd put me through psychological torture for 4 days. I explained that I genuinely thought she was dead, that I'd been preparing myself for the possibility that I'd never see her again. I said that making someone believe their spouse has been harmed or killed isn't a relationship strategy, it's cruelty. Emma kept apologizing and saying she wanted to fix things, but I told her that the trust between us was broken. How could I ever feel secure in our relationship again, knowing that she was capable of disappearing and making me think something terrible had happened to her? I also told her that her friends were no longer welcome in our home, and that if she wanted to save our marriage, she needed to cut contact with them entirely. This is where Emma balked. She said I was being controlling and that I couldn't dictate who her friends were. I explained that this wasn't about control, it was about boundaries. Her friends had filmed my breakdown for their entertainment. They'd encouraged her to emotionally traumatize me. They were toxic influences who had convinced her to do something that could have destroyed our marriage. I said I couldn't stay married to someone who would prioritize maintaining friendships with people who actively undermined our relationship. Emma said she needed time to think about it. That night, I heard her on the phone with Melissa, and from what I could overhear, Melissa was telling her that I was being manipulative and isolating her from her support system. When Emma hung up, she told me she thought I was overreacting and that her friends had apologized for taking it too far. That's when I told Emma I was going to stay at my brother's place for a while to get some perspective. Unlike Emma's disappearing act, I told her exactly where I was going, gave her my brother's address and phone number, and said we'd talk in a few days when I'd had time to process everything. The difference between my temporary separation and her stunt was that mine was honest, communicated, and didn't involve making her think I was in danger. Update 2. 3 weeks have passed, and things have taken a turn I didn't expect. While I was staying at my brother's house, Emma's family reached out to me. Apparently, Maya had told her parents exactly what happened, and they were horrified. Emma's mom called me to apologize for her daughter's behavior and to tell me that she and Emma's father had had a serious conversation with Emma about the situation. She said they'd raised Emma better than that and were ashamed of what she'd done. More importantly, Maya had done some digging into Emma's friend group and discovered something disturbing. It turns out Brooke had been posting the videos of my meltdown on social media, along with commentary about how pathetic I was. The videos had been shared in several local Facebook groups where people who knew us might see them. Maya screenshotted everything before Brooke could delete it and sent it all to me. Seeing my genuine panic and desperation turned into entertainment for strangers was devastating. In one video,
Promise you you'll catch me.